of I Just Want This Done, the world's greatest divorce podcast. Welcome, and we would be remiss if we didn't play sound effects. Hold on.
Brother,
Maybe that's not the one we wanted, but we'll. There we go. Hey, you got the
There it is.
Okay. So anyway, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here. It got a
start.
late summer show going on today. Rahul is manfully holding his microphone because the $18 Amazon mic stand we use here is defective in some way. So he's battling through. But we've got a show today a little bit shorter than normal, but we're going to do these. We always do the celeb stories, and we want to hit those today because that's probably what you like the most. So we've got a couple of things. NBA we'll hit the highlights. NBA star ordered to pay $14,000 a month for a son he testified he's never met. 49ers owner, we've heard about the trailer park story. If you've followed social media or the news at all, 49ers owner filed in May for divorce. Trailer park arrest in Ohio this week. Very classy. Jimon Hansu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. 90 minutes of travel notice. Kids miss a week of school. And we've got Real Housewives of Beverly Hills news about Erica Jane. And we want to welcome you to I Just Want This Done, not just another boring divorce lawyer podcast. Thanks very much. We've got Labor Day coming up soon, folks. Back to school's going on. The divorce filing calendar gets crazy in September once kids are back to school. People come see us over the summer. A lot of times they wait for a while with vacations and getting kids ready for school. And then we get going in September with people hiring us. It's just the way of the world. We pick up in typically September. Then after, then it slows down in the holidays, picks up again in January, typically slows down for end of school, picks up again in the summer, etc. So everything in life has a cycle, including our business. Also, let's remember with those parenting schedules, summer and vacations and stuff, now we're getting back to a school cadence. Check your parenting agreements. Hopefully you don't even need to look at them with your co-parent, but take a look at those if there's a disagreement and be reasonable. Remember, it's about the kids, and be sure to send their homework back and forth between the parents and their books and stuff so they don't get caught in the middle. Let's not make it about the kids getting stuck in the middle. Let's put them first. So that's my public service announcement for the children. Thank you. A couple of basic things. STG Divorce Law sponsors this show. That's our law firm. STG Divorce Law is in Chicago, and we serve Chicago and the Collier counties. Been in business since 1994. We help smart, successful people get divorced better in Chicagoland. We are able to be found easily on Google by just Googling STG Divorce Law or stglawfirm.com. STG Divorce Law will also get you to our website. And Googling us is easy. You can Google Rahul Iyer or Rayford Palmer to find out more about us. We're very easy to find online. We both have unique names. No excuse not to find us, okay? So check us out online. We both have social media presence and a lot of info about us if you want to reach out to us. We're starting out here with first thing is a story about Anthony Edwards. Not Goose and Top Gun Anthony Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. I know you were excited to hear about that, but there's two O's in Goose, boys, is the line from Top Gun. By the way, Rahul, little Top Gun trivia. What is the first line of dialogue in the movie Top Gun? This is a good bar.
That's a really good question.
Yes.
I don't know.
So think about it. What do you remember is the first thing that's said in the movie, if you can remember? And those of you watching this show, put it in the comments what you think don't peek. Put what you think is the first line in the comment.
It's not coming to me, Rafe. You gotta help me out here.
The first line in the movie is "Morning, Scott," and it's an officer coming down into command and control, CIC, in the carrier. And he talks to a guy like looking at the radar scope and communicating with the pilots. And he pats him on the back and says, "Morning, Scott." Most people think it's Tom Cruise and Goose like bantering in the jet, which comes right after.
That's what I was picturing.
That's what everybody pictures. But the very first scene is after the aircraft take off and the rock and roll and everything. They show a door opens, guy goes into the CIC and says, "Morning, Scott." That's the first.
That's a good question. That's a good bar bet.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So here we go, guys. Anthony Edwards, not Goose in Top Gun. Minnesota court ordered Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards, plays for Timberwolves, 25 years old, just a youngin', to pay 14 grand a month to Alexander Desroches. I may have pronounced that wrong. Desroches, I'm not sure. Or Desroches, if it's Francais, for their son Amir, born 2023. He admitted under oath he hasn't met the child, classy, and is not seeking parenting time. His income is in the court documents. This is reported in the story. We'll link at TMZ and the New York Post. You can read the stories yourself. His income is a cool $4.8 million a month. So good luck being his
Could be
lawyer
worse.
trying to argue that the child support's too high, right?
Right, right.
Also ordered a $2.6 million life insurance policy naming mom, plus more than 21 grand of her attorney's fees. Pretty typical stuff, even in our state, for somebody who makes that kind of money. That's
Yeah.
I can't tell you exactly what it would be in our state, but this is a paternity case, not a divorce case. No alimony,
Mhm.
just child support and taking care of the kids' medical and other stuff. And in our state, it would be college as well, or at least a large portion of college. Not
Right.
true in other states. We know, for example, Georgia does not require parents to pay for college expenses when they're divorcing. And then additional separate Georgia order last month. A different mom got ordered to be paid $3,222 a month, and so he's paying a good chunk of child support. Elon would be the champ. We don't know what he's paying, but he's got like I don't know how many, over 10 kids running around.
He's got over 10 kids. Yep.
Isn't it something like that? Yeah,
I think so.
He's got, according to this story, the Timberwolves player Anthony Edwards has at least 4 baby mamas out there. So, hey, if you got the money, whatever. But I feel for the kids because they don't have a normal father relationship. That is not cool. So, do I judge? Yeah, a little bit. I do. So, let's get married and have kids.
Yeah.
Do it right out there, folks.
Right.
Look, I understand sometimes some of this stuff is an accident or whatever, and we have those things happen. But come on, at some point, you know what you're doing. You're adults. Just a
Yeah.
couple.
I will
of notes.
note about him. Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead. You finish, and I got a couple. Yeah, no, I was gonna say he's noted one of the best players in the game, by the way.
Did not know.
He's a star of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was just on the Olympic team that won gold in France, and he is one of the next faces or the current faces of the NBA. This up and coming kid, and it's sort of like very very. And they
I
think he
had
might
no idea.
be the best in the NBA in a couple years. So that's just a little background.
Really,
as well.
best in the NBA. That's why the contract is huge, huh?
One of them, I guess, if not the best, they say so.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of notes about this
Mhm.
case. Child support is not tied to visitation. You can refuse parenting time. You still have to pay. The number is about whatever the statute says in that state. So a lot of times it's an income-based formula. And when the income is very high, it becomes a needs-based formula. So it doesn't matter if the dad's had no contact with the child, that doesn't mean you don't pay child support. So that's important to know.
It's not pay to play.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then there's usually when you have an extremely high earner, you switch to a needs analysis because a percentage would be unfair. So a typical income model at some point tapers because it's far more than the child would ever need to support even a very nice lifestyle. So there will be
Right.
limits to what's paid. And this happened in the Kevin Costner case where even though he makes hundreds of millions of dollars, his child support was limited to it was tens of thousands a month. I want to say somewhere between 20 and 30,000 a month for multiple children with the mother of those children. So it will be limited to something that's what's needed to support the child, not to give the mom like a lavish lifestyle. And one thing you should think about is $14,000 looks huge until you match it up to 4.8 million a month. It's still real. I mean, that's a lot of people would love to have 14,000 a month tax free. So it's
Just
still
passive income coming in, right?
Yeah, mailbox money, as they say. And the life insurance to secure support is standard drafting. That's also required by a lot of statutes. And in our state, it's required. to have life insurance to secure payment of support. People who are paying support hate to see the other parent as a beneficiary, but that's just a fact of life with these cases. That's not a punishment. That's a pretty standard situation in these cases. So in Illinois, we have 750 ILCS 505 is our child support statute with our guidelines. We have guidelines that set formulas up to 500,000 in combined income. And beyond that, the court can deviate and come up with its own calculations based on needs of the child. And they've got factors that the court uses to consider support. Do you have anything to add to that, Rahul?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, it's one of those where I think it's the biggest thing we hear is, well, why should I pay that much if I'm not even seeing the child that much? Well, I think that's the fundamental like misnomer, which is, first of all, it's not, you're not buying a ticket at a theme park to ride a ride. You got to pay irrespective of how much or how little parenting time you have. And you should get parenting time irrespective of what child support you're paying. Why should they have time? They don't pay any child support. Well, they're not linked together. So I think those are the two main points. And I think it's important to also sort of step away from the whole notion of, well, he's paying $14,000 a month. It's like, well, but he makes 4.8 million a month, whatever you said it was monthly.
Right.
So,
Right.
well, you're not getting paid. You might be getting paid a small fraction of what he earns, but the 14,000 is still 14,000. It's not devalued because he makes more money. You're still in America and you can still spend the 14K, regardless of if he's making 20K a month and you're getting 14, or if he's making 20 million a month and you're getting 14, it's still valued the same to you. So
Yeah,
I think,
right.
that we shouldn't kind of lose sight of that either.
And also, if you want, you want more, get married. There's a law about that. So if you
Yes,
think
you just got married.
if you want the relationship that you think you should be getting more than that, then marry people before you have babies with them, or I guess after.
Right.
But this is what you get. You have a baby, you just get child support, medical and dental contribution, and I mean it's a lot of money in this case, but in the average case, it's not a lot of money. So moving on, Rahul, tell us about Jed York and Danielle. This is, of course, very hot topic of late.
Yes. So, Jed, if you guys have been paying attention to social media, this story about Jed York is making waves, most notably on a lot of sports and gossip websites like Barstool Sports, TMZ, name your flavor, right? So anyway, Jed York, for people who might not know, is the owner. I'm not sure if he's the sole owner or if he's the majority owner of the San Francisco 49ers, which is an NFL team. And it's worth we don't really know exactly how much it's worth, but, valuation could be 8.5 billion, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And that's a billion with a B. So, nevertheless, he's worth a lot of money. So anyway, he had filed for divorce in Santa Clara Superior Court on May 11th after 15 years of marriage. And he was married on June 24, 2011. The standard fare, irreconcilable differences. They already figured out joint and physical custody of their two children, 13 and 10. They're still working through all the financial aspects. Well, why are we talking about this now? Well, it's because a few days ago, so August 23rd, Sunday, I should say, about 10 a.m.
It was
so
in the morning.
He was arrested. The first thing in the morning
church,
on Sunday
right?
morning. He was not in church. He was finding his own church, as they would say.
Oh dear.
I will play Hosier's song "Take Me to Church" in the background here while we're saying this. But he was in East Palestine, Ohio, and he was caught up in a sting operation, unfortunately for him, at a trailer park. That's a perfect sound for that. So he, I guess, allegedly, as the story goes, again, we don't know his version of events, anything put out by his lawyer. This is all allegedly based on what we see on social media, etc. But allegedly, he was texting and calling multiple times, 3 times or more, in fact, allegedly, a lady of the night or of the morning in this case.
Or at least he thought it was.
Or he thought it was. And they had planned a rendezvous, as you would say, at the trailer park in East Palestine, where he met not with her, but rather 2 police officers. The body cam footage is released, and we can.
What's that, brother? What's that, brother?
So I looked at the body
no.
cam. It was just kind of sad, honestly. I thought it would be funny.
Oh,
It wasn't.
yeah.
It was just kind of sad. It was just like, this guy is what I understand it to be is, he filed for divorce and then he's spending the summer hanging out with his parents out in Ohio.
Oh, man.
And so I think he just kind of looks like a simple guy, just kind of driving around in a rented car.
Yeah,
And
for a multi-billionaire, he looks
Yeah.
like a bum in the maybe there's a lot of drinking going on or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm only
it just looks sad. And so
Yeah.
and then the 140 thing here is well,
Fool me once,
he had been
shame on you. If fool
Exactly,
me, can't
definitely.
get fooled again.
He
I hope
got
he doesn't get
fooled.
fooled again. So the funny, or I shouldn't say funny, but the noteworthy thing that's causing this to make waves is that he was negotiating with this person that he thought was this escort, if you will,
Yeah.
the amount for her services, and they negotiated down to $140.
Okay.
And
Even though
so
he's a billionaire,
even though he's a
haggling.
billionaire, he could, and then sort of even the police officer said, look at all this money. There's so many other, things he could have done with this money. And instead he's
Oh,
here.
man.
So who knows? So anyway,
He would probably
it-
say that's why he has the money, because he's drives
Yeah.
a hard bargain.
it's frugal, right?
Frugal,
Exactly.
right.
Why pay $300 for something you can get for $140, right? So he pled no contest to disorderly conduct, allegedly, and possessing criminal tools, which in this case, the criminal tool would have been the tool to commit the crime, which would be the phone that he used to answer the ad, I guess. So it's
Interesting.
not tools like, a drill or a screwdriver, but rather just like the phone that's the mechanism that enabled him to commit the crime.
Okay.
According to New York Post, they say a premarital agreement dated July 2011 was signed. Well, if it was after the date of the wedding in June 24th, then it would be probably treated as a postnup, but it's probably really not a prenup. Maybe there's some.
Oh, really? Signed after the what? How many days after the wedding?
It was anywhere from, a few days, a week to 10 days to a month after the wedding, because they got married June 24th of 2011, and they signed allegedly in July of 2011. So the following month at some point. So
Can you explain, Rahul, how different that is? Like what a difference a day makes, as the saying goes?
huge difference, right? So the fundamental misunderstanding I want to say most people have about postnups is they think it's just a prenup that you sign after the divorce.
Right, exactly.
And it's basically the same thing otherwise. Well, and it's a reasonable misunderstanding, because I mean,
the
postnup,
name is similar, right?
prenup.
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference? Well, in most states, prenups are governed by statute, and it's governed by the Uniform Premarital Agreement Act. Postnups don't have a similar statute that governs them, so you typically just treat them as under general contract law. And for prenups, the consideration is getting married.
That's right.
Consideration. For postnups, you need additional consideration, which is in addition to staying married, there has to be additional bargain for exchange,
Yeah, it
which
can't
needs to
just
be
that I'll stay married if you agree.
exactly. So there's got to be additional consideration there. And thirdly, and this is, I'll give you 3 points. There's some further distinctions, but 3 big ones are: how does the court assess the equitableness of a prenup or a postnup or a contract? So premarital agreements are, whether they're equitable are determined, whether they're conscionable or unconscionable are determined as of the state of affairs at the time of the marriage, at the time of signing the prenup. So was it fair? Was it equitable when you signed it? Or even if it wasn't equitable, did you agree to it knowing you could have, my husband is a soon-to-be husband is a billionaire and I am a college student, and I agree there's no maintenance. I understand I could get all this money and I'm choosing to waive that, and et cetera, et cetera. And the court will say, okay, sure.
Yeah.
More likely than not, you agreed to it. You knew everything, full disclosure, you signed it. Fine. If you guys believed it was equitable, then we're going to not change it. A postnup, the court adjudicates its equitability. They'll consider what was at the time of signing, but also how it is now. So
Fairness,
if you
right.
were both college students at the time of signing and you waive maintenance, and now your husband is a billionaire and you are working and you had to raise children and things of that nature and you're not working anymore. And he comes in and says, well, hey, in our postnup, we agreed to waive maintenance. And so you don't get anything from my $8.6 billion that I've earned. A court can say, I don't think so. You
Right.
know, we're going to set it aside and we're going to provide spousal maintenance for you. We're going to, I mean, that in that example, maybe that happens with a prenup too, but we can also provide you more of the assets than you guys bargained for.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
so there's a lot of
generally
things that the court
he-
can do.
Yeah, generally speaking, the postnup is much more subject to attack than
Correct.
a prenup is. And
Exactly.
it's so literally the day after you're married, or the very minute you're married, if you haven't done a prenup, signing it in 2 days or a week isn't going to magically fix it. You've got yourself
Exactly.
a much bigger hill to climb immediately. So
Mhm.
it isn't okay to just wait a few days and then sign it afterwards.
And that's what a lot of people say. Right? I'm sorry, I meant to go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it legally changes the nature of the document and the challenge you're going to have to overcome down the road substantially. So,
And that's what a lot of people have. I've even had conversations with, potential clients, other clients I've spoken to. They've said, hey, you know what? We've been planning this for a while, and we are like a month away from the wedding, and we really don't want to think about the prenup anymore. So why don't we just hold off on it and sign it after we get married? And I'm like, buyer beware.
yep.
You can do whatever you want. You don't even need to get a prenup, but if you want the protections you're asking for, do it as a prenup.
Yep.
And you're doing it as a postnup is going to just make it significantly weaker.
One note about this guy in this arrest, to kind of not stick up for him, but be clear about the law. An arrest is not a conviction. It's not proof of guilt. And he hasn't been convicted. He hasn't pled guilty. So right now it's just claims, just allegations by the police. So our Constitution means he gets his day in court and they have to prove their case. So, right now he's just been accused. So let's turn on next
On that
story.
point,
Go ahead.
just,
Sorry.
just give me 1 second. Just on that point,
Sure.
I'm just looking here because I thought I read somewhere that he may have pled.
Already?
So
Wow.
maybe Freelander's owner prosecution charge reduced in a plea deal. He pled no contest to 2 charges after his arrest. Engaged disorderly conduct possessing criminal tools. So yeah. So I think this is just an yes. So as they say in show business. So everything you said is correct. In the sense, we're going to see he is not convicted of prosecution. We can say that he, obviously, because he. But it sounds like he may have pled. Again, I'll have to verify. I'm just looking at it as we speak
Okay.
live, but looks like he might have.
All
Pled
right.
no
Fair
contest
enough. I did not know.
Those.
Thank you.
So
There you
I
go,
was looking as well,
folks. We got the latest scoop here. So, next one is Jimon Hansu. This is actually Kimora Lee Simmons. We talked about Kimora Lee Simmons, Kenzo, episode 64. Riza Marie Simpson asked a judge. We got a story here from TMZ. This is a recent one from a couple days ago. Asked the judge to hold Jimon in willful in contempt over an August 15th trip from Georgia to California. This is about parenting with the 2 kids, and these are young children. The existing parenting order required advanced written notice with dates and where they would stay, like an itinerary, which is very typical. And our stuff, agreements we write will be a period of time is negotiable, but usually you'll see at least a couple weeks, sometimes 30 days for like a vacation or a trip with the children. That's more than an overnight. Or especially they'll say maybe out of state or out of the country, they need advance notice. So she says she got 90 minutes notice through his attorney. Lovely. She says the kids missed their entire 3rd week of school. The judge won't be happy about that, in my opinion. She wants a contempt finding and attorney's fees. He filed for joint custody in January. So it sounds like this is these are temporary orders for parenting right now. If he's filing for joint custody, then I don't know if this is a divorce offhand or if this is a parentage case, but in any event, it's not done yet, because if he's filing for joint, then the case is still ongoing. And this is an interim order that is in question, apparently. So she wants to find him in contempt and get fees. and apparently she filed earlier this month. And notice provisions are in these orders. 90 minutes is not advance written notice. I don't care what judge, if you text 90 minutes ahead of time, that's not going to be good for a judge when you're telling them they're going to be gone for a week. It's all about reasonableness. And I want to talk about one thing here with parenting agreements. People sort of wish they were these perfect computer programs and covered every potential eventuality. Because life is challenging and people can be jerks, there's no way they can cover every possibility. And there is a tension meaning a pull against, between this nailed down thing saying notice must be at least a week or 2 days or a month, whatever, or saying advance written notice and saying something like reasonable advance written notice and leaving it open. Because if the guy was just going to have them go on a trip for one night, it might be reasonable to give notice a couple days in advance, especially if it's going to be your parenting time anyway. What's the difference? If it's a week, you probably should tell mom that a month ahead of time you're going to take them for your week, and assuming you're granted a week of vacation time in the agreement. So reasonableness makes a lot of sense because it's kind of a flexible concept. Now, people will say, well, I want hard numbers so that I know what the rules are and I can make them stick with the rules. Here's the problem with that. Judges have a very hard time enforcing these kinds of orders that to some extent are what I call aspirational or good behavior orders. There's a lot of stuff in a parenting agreement that's good to do, good behavior, but it's not the end of the world if the other parent violates it. Let's assume, I don't know, now taking the kid out of school for a week is an issue, obviously. Now, if they're little kids, it says, I think I'm reading this right, son born in 22, daughter 23. These kids are 3 and 4 years old. Is it really important that they're in school for a week? No. If it's a high school kid, it's different. So this is where, things are, there's a matter of degree involved. So there's challenges in enforcing these provisions because the judge is really kind of looking at what's the nature of the harm done. Is this really a bad thing? Sure, he violated the order. What is the judge really going to do? Hold him in contempt for what? For what? The only penalty is maybe paying her attorney's fees and then him telling him not to do it again. And when you hold somebody in contempt, they always say, what's the purge? The purge is what's the thing that gets rid of the contempt? Well, the kids, I'm assuming, are already back. It's not like he held the kids and won't bring them back. So what's he doing to cure the problem? That's why it's kind of a weak, the judge can't sanction the person by issuing like a fine. The only thing you do is make him pay her fees. So it's a sticky wicket for sure. That's where those parenting coordinators can come in handy to deal with these smaller issues. There is back to school week, could be a bad time to be taking a vacation if you have school age kids. That's something that a judge will get upset about, is holding a kid out of school. So, the thing is, a judge could coerce compliance or require compliance. Theoretically could require makeup parenting time. People think a judge can use jail. They're never going to put a guy in jail. That's very rare. That's only for not paying child support. And that's after a lot of efforts of a judge trying to get somebody to pay. You're never going to see that for some minor parenting agreement violation. So willful is the key word here. That means it's intentional and with knowledge. If they forgot or there's some mistake that the guy convinces the court, I sent her notice. Maybe she didn't get the email. He can show the proof's going to be important. He might say, look, I did tell her. I talked to her on the phone months ahead of time, told her that's what I was going to do. I emailed the copies of the tickets to her. It's going to be the evidence is going to be important. So, so that gives you a little insight into what's going on in that case. So tell us about this Erica Jane thing. This is
Robe or Real House. Yep, Robe or Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So Erica Jane is a star of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she is getting divorced from her estranged husband, Tom Girardi. And we may have talked about this before, but Tom Girardi is in federal prison. He was sentenced to 87 months in federal prison in 2025 after being found guilty of scamming his former clients out of settlement funds, according to this TMZ article.
Oh, he's a lawyer?
And
I
so
didn't remember that.
For yeah, so and he was also reportedly diagnosed with dementia and other health issues. So anyway, why are we talking about this? Is because a hearing was set for next year where Erica and Tom were ordered to appear in court and give good reason to the judge for what's taking so long with the divorce. And so the court basically said, wrap up the case or it gets thrown out, essentially. So perspective, what does that mean? So really, when you file for divorce, courts have calendars and scheduling orders that require the divorce case, to move forward with a certain cadence or with a certain sort of traction. They have either by the Supreme Court in that jurisdiction or through the local court rules, typically deadlines or at least certain key dates by which a case should be progressing towards finishing. You can't file a divorce and just have it hang out for 5-6 years, 3-4 years, whatever the case might be, with no movement. So courts will typically say, you filed your case, X in X year, and now it's Y year, and nothing's happened. You're not litigating. I don't see you every day fighting about certain issues. So nothing's happening. I can't have things on my docket, as the judge would say typically, that's just not moving, because a judge also has to answer to his or her chief judge or division judge to say, why does when they look at reports, presumably, they'll say, well, you have 2,000 cases on your docket and your oldest case is 6 years old. Why aren't you able to, as a judge, close out a 6-year-old divorce? What's going on with you? So they have to answer to the higher ups as well. And so you're going to answer to them. And the judge will say, you know what? If you guys aren't moving forward, I'm going to give you trial dates. I'm going to give you deadlines. If you can't do it within that time, your case gets thrown out. And thrown out basically means it's dismissed or without prejudice, which will mean, you know what? Case is over. If you want to actually get divorced in the future and you want to do it on a good timeline, come back and refile for divorce. Otherwise, you're not just going to hold a reservation at a restaurant and tell them, I'm going to keep this ongoing reservation, but you're never going to know when I'm going to show up to eat food there. No, you got to either show up or we're canceling your reservation and you can book it when you're going to come back. So it's kind of the same concept. So that's what's going on in that case or in that situation.
So interesting side note, and I didn't know this, Girardi, the reason he got in trouble was, as you mentioned, basically taking client funds, but it was on a massive scale. It was like $15 million of embezzlement.
Oof.
And the interesting tie-in is one of the firm's the firm was founded in 1965. And one of the best known firm cases, I'm reading from Wikipedia article about the law firm, was against Pacific Gas and Electric. It was the Erin Brockovich case, the one that she was the paralegal, or she was like a plaintiff or something, named plaintiff. I don't know her role exactly. I actually didn't see the movie, but it was the case that was the inspiration for the movie Erin Brockovich. And Girardi was actually thanked in the credits and served as an advisor to the film. And basically, in a later case involving a crash of an aircraft in 2018, there was a huge claim there that the firm was involved in. And there was missing settlement funds, and the co-counsel sued to try to find the missing funds, and that uncovered this massive fraud, and that they filed bankruptcy, and the chief financial officer in the firm got federal prison time. The guy Girardi got federal time, and a couple lawyers involved in the Lion Air case at the firm got disciplined and stuff. It's really it's supposedly the largest law firm fraud in California history.
Wow.
If I'm reading this right. But yeah, that's the wild story on the background. I did not know that.
Me neither.
So that's basically it for the show, folks. We have a little truncated show today because we have a hard stop, but we hope you enjoy the show. Give us your comments, like, share, and subscribe, please, if you like what we're doing. Let us know if you'd like to see something different or a guest or something we could interview. We always appreciate your feedback, and those reviews are really important for us. Thank you very much for listening and watching. We really appreciate it. Rahul, how can people find you online?
You can find me at Chicago Divorce and on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Please check out my book, I Just Want This Done, How Smart, Successful People Get Divorced Without Losing their kids' money and minds. Available on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, and where all great ebooks are sold. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, the show is sponsored by STG Divorce Law.